The Chicago Bears just got served some major disrespect. Everyone saw this draft, right? Everyone sees this team that's been built from the ground up only 2 years after a total teardown. This looks like something special here. Also, were we all watching this team have a defense that came into form as one of the best in the league with the best secondary in the NFL? Also, we got to contrast that with historic meltdowns that had about a 5% chance of happening, let alone several times. The Bears have been one of the busiest teams in the NFL this offseason, and now they've added quarterback prospect phenom Caleb Williams, right? Wide receiver Romo Dunze, among others. Oh, and don't forget the free agent acquisition of Keenan Allen, a huge improvement in offensive coordinator Shane Waldron. I mean, the improvements, they just go on and on. And on Monday, odds makers, they released their first set of lines for NFL team win totals, and the Bears outlook, it's only slightly improved from last year. And I'm going to go to this story on CBS Sports Chicago. It is a great source, but you guys read this story for yourselves. So, the Bears' outlook has only slightly improved from last year through their eyes. The line set for the Bears is only at 8.5 wins for the Bears this season. So only a game and a half improvement from last year. I get it, but it feels incredibly disrespectful and just fully discounting what really happened last year and what's been done with the team since. In this case, I absolutely love being the underdog here, and this should be used as fuel for the team and for the city. We are so blessed to have Caleb Williams join this team. If he is what the consensus book on him is, man, the sky's the limit if he is what we all think that he is. And I'm going to close down this story. So let's look at this. What I believe the odds makers' reasoning is as to why all of these improvements only bumped up the Bears' expectations by about a win. It's the fact that teams with rookie quarterbacks almost always struggle. For every Texans, CJ Stroud, they went 10-7. 49ers with Brock Purdy, they went 5-0 at the outset, or the Colts with Andrew Luck at 11-5. These stories. There's more examples like these, right? Panthers with Bryce Young, that's 2-15. The Jaguars, Trevor Lawrence's rookie year, 3-14. Joe Burrow went 2-7-1 with the Chargers with Justin Herbert, 6-9. I'm going to keep going. Kyler Murray, 5-10-1. The Lions with Matt Stafford reaching way back, 2-8, etc., 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 right? What they don't take into account here is that something historic is happening here. Typically, highly drafted quarterback, he's coming onto a team that's frankly put just awful and in poor shape. That's why they got the number one pick in the first place, right? The Bears, they're giving Caleb such a nice, stable situation to start his career. It is so stable. And what he's being given offensively and defensively right from the word go, I'm not sure this has ever happened at this level. The failures, in my opinion, are not apples to apples here. Not to mention, we're picked to finish third in the division behind the Lions, 10.5 wins. That's very generous. The Packers, 10.5 wins, and narrowly edging out the Vikings at 6.5 wins. I get it. The Lions and the Packers, they deserve this respect. We are yet to earn it. But man, I can't help but feel slighted, and this should be fuel. This should be pinned up on the locker room, pinned up in every administration office at Hallis Hall, and let's let's rise above this. So the vast difference between us and the Lions this year, by the way, the team that we beat decisively for 7 quarters with only historical fourth quarter collapse to prevent us from sweeping them. And we're a team that was just coming together. We had no idea how to win. I think those things have changed here. And these prognosticators, they are completely missing it. So let's review a bit about the defense. It came into its own with the acquisition of Montez Sweat. We saw the beginning of the development of Gervon Dexter into our 3-tech. I think that's going to continue. Our new defensive coordinator, Eric Washington, best in the league pertaining to the defensive line, and he's going to continue this development. The best secondary in the league. With the return of Johnson and the addition of Kevin Byard to the back end, he's a veteran, but he's also a playmaker, and he's a huge upgrade over a gassed Eddie Jackson. The Bears also, they tied San Francisco for a league high in interceptions this season. They tied for fifth in total takeaways with 28. Three players, linebacker Tremaine Edwards, cornerbacks Jalen Johnson, and rookie Tyreek Stevenson, all tied for a team high for interceptions. It was a team effort. This offense, it generates turnovers like it's its job. Well, it literally is its job, right? One thing that's a bit odd as well with only predicting a one-game improvement, that's a recent ranking of our wide receivers. And I'm going to go to a CBSSports.com story. You guys check this out. I'm going to quibble with this a tiny bit, a mini disrespect due to the fact that I believe we're number one. But this article has Bears receiving tandem as the number two group in the NFL. I want to take the time to quote this article, and it's actually their receiving trio, is what the story is. So I quote, only one trio on this list has multiple players who totaled 1,200 or more receiving yards in 2023. That's the Chicago Bears. DJ Moore's 1,364 receiving yards. That ranks as the fourth most in a single season in Bears history and the sixth most in the league. And Allen, he's coming off recording a career high 108 catches, the sixth most in the NFL last season. And I'm going to add personally, he's also a sixth time in a row 1,000 yard receiver, 1,000 yard receiver, six-time Pro Bowler. So let's get back to the story. Both should benefit from lining up alongside either wide receiver one caliber talent in Washington's Rome Odunze, the 9th overall pick in the 2024 NFL draft, while catching passes from the 2024 first overall pick quarterback Caleb Williams. Odunze, he's a 2023 consensus All-American, led all of college football in receiving yards. That's 1,640 catches of 20 or more air yards. That's 23. Chicago adding that kind of deep threat to Moore and Allen, that ensures Williams would begin his NFL career strong. The selection of Odunze also vaulted this trio from sixth to second on this list. I'm going to close this, but if you follow the story a little further, above them is only one team, and that's a trio of Stephon Diggs, Nico Collins, Tank Dell of the Houston Texans. I mean, that's fine. I'm convinced that Diggs is not better than DJ. Nico is definitely not better than Keenan Allen. And Tank Dell versus Odunze, I think the truth of that will come out in the laundry. A small quibble with this, not such a big deal, but I still think it's another sign of disrespect. And it doesn't really make sense, because what's the big deal? What the big deal is the improvements made. Our defense is top 5 right now. The circumstances of last year, the level of quarterback we now have, and the fact that the consensus is just that our receiver core is within the top 2 in the league. So we're only going to improve one game. To be slated at one game better than last year, 8.5 in my eyes, it's just absolutely silly. We will all consider this fuel. Let's keep the receipts on this. I want to continue. Looking at the deficiencies last year, we blew 3 big leads, right? Let's talk about those. The chances of this happening again is almost impossible. We are so close to really being a 10 or 11 win team. So the loss to the Browns. For the third time that season, the Bears held a 10-plus point lead in the fourth quarter. For the third time that season, they surrendered their lead. They ultimately lost in regulation with a final offensive rally falling flat. Man, just like the Denver and Detroit games that predated their trip to Cleveland, ESPN's analytics gave Chicago a 90% chance of winning this game just as the third quarter ended. But like those other games, the Bears found a way to snatch defeat from the jaws of victory. These 3 games, they plainly hammered home the most frustrating part of that 2023 season last year. The Bears were 5-9 at this point. Currently, they were the 5th worst team in the NFL. If football games ended after the third quarter, Chicago would have been 8-6-1 at that point. Let's go further. Let's go to the loss to the Lions. It was also incredibly unlikely. Chicago had a win probability as high as 98.2% in the fourth quarter. That's according to ESPN analytics. The loss made them the first team ever to lose a game after possessing the ball at least 40 minutes with a +3 turnover margin. That's according to ESPN 1000's Doug Coletti. It was also the first time any team lost in regulation with +3 turnover margin in 40-minute plus time of possession. Teams were 48-0 prior to that epic collapse. I mean, are you kidding me? Then a loss to Denver. At one point in the third quarter, the Bears were winning 28-7 and were in cruise control, right? But after 24 unanswered points, they instead dropped to 0-4 on the season and we're now staring at one of the worst stretches in team history. I mean, the odds of this happening again are almost astronomical. So many records for blowing leads, and that's not going to happen anymore. That's not going to happen again. Coach Flus has a full hand on this team. This team is vastly improving. This defense came into their own midway through the season. I could go on and on and on, and all the improvements. You guys know the score with this. You guys can disagree with me. On one hand, I know that we have not earned that respect, and that's something that we definitely have to do. No one's just going to hand it to us just simply because we've made a bunch of moves on paper. But I think the trajectory of the team last year, where we are heading, what we were doing, the way that the secondary performs, the way that we short up this offensive line with so many players that can play every single position all the way across. The quarterback, we now have a center. We have DeAndre Swift. We have the top three receiver tandem in the whole NFL. I'm still going to hold close to that. We've also got two really great tight ends. Everything is laid out for us to at least be a playoff team. To say that our over under is 8.5 wins, only one win more than last year, I think it's insanely disrespectful. I think it's unrealistic, especially finishing that much lower to a Lions team that we beat for 7 quarters last year. We are already better than them during the games that we played. Detroit cannot handle a mobile quarterback, and we actually have another mobile quarterback. You guys know. But let me know what you think in the comments. I know with this Bears PTSD, it's going to be, but Sean, we haven't earned that respect. But I think it's important to show some bulletin board material here. And this is what we're going to work towards and what we're going to work through. Bear down, you guys. I appreciate your time with me, and we'll talk soon. See ya.